Do you have back pain that won't go away even after physical therapy and stretching and chiropractic visits? If you're over 40, this isn't just frustrating, it's exhausting. You've worked so hard to stay active, but that back pain keeps holding you back. Today, I'm going to reveal why your back pain hasn't healed yet and the simple shift that can help you move pain-free again. Hey everyone, I'm Chrissy Williford. I'm known as the pain-free miracle worker because after 8 years of dealing with chronic pain, I finally found the answers I was looking for when doctors and therapists couldn't. Now, I'm helping active men and women just like you eliminate their pain, tone their body, and get stronger so they can love the way they look and feel. So let's get started with a fun fact. The most common reason that back pain persists despite physical therapy, stretching, chiropractic care, massage therapy, in many cases, around 90% of cases, is non-specific, which means there's no exact pinpointed reason as to the cause of the back pain that you're feeling. There's no precise structural or disease cause that can be identified. So they don't really know why your back hurts. This is why a lot of traditional practices don't work, because it's kind of like they're shooting in the dark, and it may or may not be getting you the result that you're after. It may or may not be helping you move easier. Just because there's no clear target, you're not really after a specific thing, you know you hurt, they don't really know why. But when you look at the body as a whole, as a total movement system, it's much easier to see what can be contributing to the discomfort that you feel in your low back. So here's the thing, there are compensations that occur, and there are hidden movement patterns that show up. These things keep you in pain rather than keeping you pain-free and out of frustration, because every day you move, every day you take a step, those compensations and those off-kilter movement patterns are contributing to the problem. So unless you're taking the time to reverse those compensations that have set in and correct your movement patterns, then your back pain is always going to be showing up. It's going to continue to show up. This is why you go get a massage and you feel good for a day and then you don't feel good anymore. You go to the chiropractor, you feel good for a day and then you don't feel good anymore. Maybe you have to go once a week. Maybe you go twice a week. But the thing is, it's not correcting the root cause of the problem, which may be a compensation. It may be a jammed up joint. It may be a muscle that's shut down. And that's what's causing the issue and the pain that you feel in your back, because your body is a total movement system. And one thing does contribute to the next, and one thing does help the other. And it does matter, because you'll have pain in your knee, but it's because of a rotator cuff problem. You'll have low back pain because your ankles don't work well, which means your hips don't work well, which means your back could be taking on the load and the movement and the function of your hips. So looking at everything as a whole system is critical to being able to get you pain-free and to stay pain-free so that you don't have to go to so many doctors all the time. You see, the thing is that muscle activation, I say this a lot, muscles are like light switches. They turn on, they turn off. And when they turn off or they're shut down for any reason at all, and there's multiple reasons that they get shut down, but when they shut down, they cannot work. They are just not on. They're not working. They're not getting the signal. They are dormant and not helping you. And when you have that, your body can't move pain-free because it's living in this constant cycle of compensation, shut down muscles, jammed up joints, and it has to adapt to be able to keep you moving, which is what the compensations are. It's other muscles helping muscles that don't work very well so that your body can continue to move. Because of how our body is made and all of the joints and their responsibilities and how they work together, when one joint changes, there's going to be an effect upstream or downstream in your body. So other things are going to follow suit, which means other joints are also eventually going to work incorrectly, not how they're intended to work, not smoothly, not easily. And you could also have pain show up in other parts of your body, because the more your body compensates, the less efficient it gets at being able to move, and the more pain and discomfort you experience in your body as a whole. It's kind of like a domino effect. One thing happens, triggers something else, da 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 da, and it just keeps going. Because there is a connection between underactive muscles, jammed up joints, improper body mechanics, and back pain. Many times when you're going to physical therapy or to massage therapists or chiropractic care, they are treating the point of pain or where you're saying you hurt. And sometimes they go outside of that. Sometimes there are limitations in what they can do. Sometimes they have a little bit more freedom, so they can explore outside of like one single protocol that they have to follow for that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to treating the symptom versus treating the root cause. Treating your pain point is treating the symptom. But when you look at body mechanics and movement patterns, you really can get down to the root cause of that. Changing how your body moves, the patterns that it moves in, the way that it moves is critical to being able to eliminate the frustration that you have all the time, to be able to live life on your own terms, to play with your grandkids, to go outside, to run that marathon. All of the things that you want to do are rooted in the mechanical function of your body. And I know that's a little bit up here and sometimes it goes over your head. I get all that. At the end of the day, it's helping your body be more efficient. When you have proper movement patterns, your body is more efficient. You have less compensations, you have less discomfort in your body, you do things easier, smoother, faster. Your body feels stretched out. It actually can relax. There's less tension and tightness in your body. And it all comes down to the movement patterns, to our lifestyle, to what's going on with our joints, and what's going on with our muscles, and being able to prevent compensations from setting in and also correct and reverse the ones that are already showing up for you now. There are some very simple adjustments that you can make to your exercise programming if you're already exercising that are going to help you feel better and move easier, faster. One of the things that's foundational in my programs for people who are on their fitness journey and working to get out of pain is focusing on functional movement and patterns of movement, because that becomes transferable into your regular life. So it's not your typical upper lower split or push pull split, nothing like that. I look at patterns of movement. What are the restrictions that you're experiencing in your body? And then what are the exercises that are going to help correct that? And then we do lots of that. Because if you're doing one workout that's corrective to help your body move better, and that's let's say 1 hour out of one day, that's 24 hours, there are 23 other hours. So what is your body doing in those 23 other hours? It's contributing to the compensations because, outside of sleep, right? But it's contributing to the compensations because that's the movement pattern that you've now adapted into. So unless you're doing the corrective aspect of it all throughout the day, you're literally looking at one workout, 1 hour, one session of 30 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever the time is for you. That's the opportunity for you to correct that, to be able to move in better patterns and then move easier and feel better and then actually do the things that you want to do. So sometimes there's a pulling back to be able to go forward faster that happens. It just depends on where you are and what's going on and what your current activity level is. But many times there's a pulling back to be able to get you to progress faster rather than keeping you where you are and facilitating more and more and more on top of the bad movement patterns. That just contributes to the problem. And so I much prefer to take you back to foundational patterns, work on the skill of those movements, and then layer in all of the more advanced things to be able to help your joints work more efficiently. That way you don't have tightness and tension and pain in your body. And it really does work faster. So training for movement patterns and being functional in what you're doing with your body versus training for a specific goal, it does give you a superior result. So when we're talking about pain and specifically back pain, then focusing on the movement patterns of the hips is super important because your hips should take all the load from your movements. Your glutes are your biggest muscle. That's your butt muscle. It's the biggest muscle in your body. And there's a reason for that because your glutes propel movement. So if you have back pain and you're not looking at hip function, then you're missing a huge opportunity to be able to get yourself out of pain faster, because the hips, when hip joints get jammed up and they don't work well and your glutes don't work well, your butt doesn't work, something else has to come along and take the place of that. Low back is the next joint. It is the next area of the body. So I can't tell you the number of times I've seen people bend over and pick things up and they're bending from their back. So their hip gets stuck, and then above that in their lumbar spine, that part begins to act like a hip opening and closing this way instead of the hip doing that. And so getting the hip to be able to function, to be able to bend over, to hinge properly is a huge piece of the puzzle. And then because of how our body is connected and works together, then getting hip function to improve also includes working on ankles and feet. And so there's a huge correlation there to be able to help your hips carry the load of the movement so your back doesn't have to do that, because the responsibility of lumbar spine is stability. And the function of your hip is mobility. It's a multi-directional joint, which just means it moves in a lot of different patterns so that you can move side to side, front to back, on a diagonal, forward, backwards, jump vertically, hinge over, pick things up, squat down. It contributes to all of that. So if your hips aren't working well, then it's a huge indicator of, hey, let's just look at your hips and focus on the function there and see if that alleviates your back pain. If it does, let's stay in that path and continue to do more of that. And if it doesn't, let's look at some more outlying things to see what's really going on in the global aspect of your body and the movement patterns of where you are right now. I use a lot of muscle activation and joint mobility in my programs because it gets us a better result faster. And what happens is over time, you actually begin to notice your hip function picking up and doing things like when you're carrying groceries, or when you're going up and down stairs, or doing things like squat actions. So if you're going to use the restroom, or if you're sitting down in a chair and standing up out of that chair, when you begin to feel your glutes pick up and work with you and support your body, many, many times in my experience, many times the back pain just kind of dissolves and it goes away, which is great because that's what we're here for. I think it's also worth noting that a lot of times when we have pain and discomfort in our body, it feels easier to go to someone else and say, hey, I have this pain, can you fix it? And see if they do. What I find is when people take the initiative and take responsibility for the work on their own body, they get a better result and it lasts longer. They're able to self-manage. So if they have a flare up and their back's hurting a lot, then hey, go and do these 4 things or these 2 things, or this one thing that your body really likes and it really helps you feel better. Do that. And then manage yourself that way. So you begin to develop a skill that you can self-manage, and you have a toolkit that you can pull from when you do feel bad or when you do have discomfort, that you can take control. And that to me is very powerful because you're not always leaning on someone else to do it for you. You're not having to schedule an appointment and wait 3 days to get in to see someone. You have the power. It gives you back the power and the control for you to be able to help yourself. And that, for me personally, is invaluable. And it's exactly why I teach people those skills and those tools, because I was in a place where I had to go to someone else and it frustrated me because I wanted to be able to do it myself. Like, oh, I have pain. Oh, let's do this. And then that wasn't where I was. And I found a lot of value in having a toolkit to pull from so that you can now self-manage. And it's like eliminating the component of suffering while you work through the kinks in your body to help you feel better and move easier over time. So now that you have a little bit more insight on why your back pain may not be improving, and more information on other options, other strategies that are available to you, it's time to uncover one of the biggest myths keeping you stuck. In this next video, I'm going to show you why stretching won't fix your back pain and what actually works instead. Go ahead and click through and take the next step to lasting relief. And hey, if you want more personalized guidance while you watch this series, you can check out the link in the description to connect with me and see how we can get you moving pain-free faster.